Welcome to Community Chat. This is the 2021 conversations with the candidates who are seeking office in the town of Abington. There are two contested races. We have the Board of Health and the Board of Selectmen, and the idea of this program is to have a conversation with each and every candidate and chat with them about why they're seeking office and find out something about them. In the time of COVID, it's kind of tough for the candidates to get out and do meet and greets and meet people in person. So this is an ideal to be able to chat with the candidates one-on-one and for you to learn a little bit about them. Joining us today is Mr. Minimaskinian himself. His name is Kevin Whalen. He is a candidate for the Board of Health. Kevin, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Kevin. Nice to be here.
To start out, for the folks who may or may not know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe some other boards or committees that you have served on over the years.
Well, it's been a long time since I've served on local boards. I started out, on the FinCom way back when, and then I served for several years on the Sewer Commission, essentially, doing almost probably 70-75% of the sewer in Abington, and then served for 3 years on the school committee, kind of finishing up in the early 90s. And since then I've served, for the last 10 years, I've done a lot of state service with the Department of Conservation, being the Administration and Finance Director there, and then also the Deputy Commissioner at DCR, the Department of Conservation and Recreation. And then the last 3 years I've been at the town of Hingham as the Director of the South Shore Country Club. So I've had a wide variety of experiences in both state and local government. I really understand, budgets, RFP proposals and how to do those and different things of that nature. But I've been a lifelong resident of Abington, and kind of at this point in my life, just, the last year with COVID and just, reflecting, just trying to get back in and try to serve the town of Abington the best way I can.
Would you say that's the primary reason, that the one thing that attracted you to running for Board of Health?
No, I think, I'm really into like recycling and things of that nature, and composting, those different things as well. But I think, the director of the Board of Health, Marty, does a great job. Looking to be as supportive as I could. I mean, I understand that it is a regulatory board that, oversees inspections and things of that nature. We're fortunate that we don't have too many septic systems and things of that nature. But, it's at the end of the day, it's for the, the mission statement, I think I agree wholeheartedly with, that they have on their website, which is to, support, the health and well-being of Abington residents, and look forward to supporting that mission in any way that I can.
So I would ask you, COVID-19 has really changed all of our lives. I mean, look at us, we're sitting here with masks on. Give me your thoughts in regards to the message. We're going to be dealing with COVID probably for another 6 months, a year, maybe right. 2 years, who knows? What do you feel is your role on the Board of Health if you're elected to help deliver the message and keep people informed?
Well, I think it's to, obviously follow the science as much as, follow the science and do what experts say, to do. And I think, wearing your mask, it's as much as we feel that it might be an inconvenience in the short term, I think in the long run, obviously, it's going to provide the health and safety and well-being of, our vulnerable citizens and friends and family as well. So I think for the most part, I think, I am someone who would be supportive of, the mask wearing and things of that nature, and listening to experts as far as, given the direction, following the direction that they provide. I think, the Board of Health has done a very good job. I think, obviously a lot of things were changing over the last year, it's like, but I think as things change and circumstances change, it's a virus that changed as well. I mean, the way that it attacked people, the way therapeutics have changed and things of that nature as far as treating it. But I think the Board of Health in the town has done a good job of communicating, and, obviously the, people getting vaccine. I myself have had one shot currently and waiting to get my second shot. So, advising people and trying to educate people to ensure that everyone does go out and get vaccinated when they can.
What is your thought in regards to the Board of Health's role when it comes to restaurants, making sure they're following regulations and that they're up to code? How do you feel about that part of being on the board? And if you do have somebody who is not following the standards, having to be kind of a disciplinarian or kind of,
Yeah, the rules are in place for a reason. And I think, I'm sure the director and the director of the Board of Health, does a great job. And, obviously there's an education portion to it as well. But I think at the end of the day, when you're working with public health, you have to be, follow the rules, regulations, and then also warnings and things of that nature. And they have the criteria in place. You follow that, and you work with the people in support. The director, if they come to the Board of Health with, somebody that has been in violation, that you would support the director in his finding.
Let's talk a little bit about trash and recycling. What's your understanding of the Board of Health's role when it comes to trash and the recycling program itself?
I think Abington's a little bit unique in the way that we do fund trash. I think which is good. The Board of Health's role, as far as I know that the contract is up and they have currently put out an RFP, and you work with whoever the vendor is. You have a contract, and you oversee that contract to ensure that the letter of that contract is met. So you're getting the value that the vendor said that they would provide, that you get that, for every dollar that you're spending, that you're getting that value out of that dollar. I think, when it comes to recycling, I think I would be, work hard to try to improve as far as recycling in Abington, but also, composting and things of that nature as well. I think it's important, I really recycle, significantly. In my house, I'm always, making sure that, I recycle everything. But as we all know too, that, over the last several years, recycling, actually, there's been issues as far as recycling just because of the commodity market and things of that nature have changed significantly. So, but I do think it's important to, educate people to ensure that, the recycling, the material that you are getting in the recycle, that it makes it a lot easier for us to be able to sell on the secondary market and things of that nature. Because if you do have contaminated materials and things of that nature in the recycling, then at that point in time, then it might, it costs the town additional money. So I think it's important to educate the public as far as recycling. I think they've done a good job over the past several years of ensuring that people, whether it's not putting it in bags or not cleaning things out and things of that nature. It's important. On composting, I'm someone who does a lot of composting myself. I have my own composting pile.
Really?
Yeah, I have my sister-in-law who is in charge of the education, compost education for Massachusetts as well. So, we've been composting for a long time and, turning piles and things of that nature. So it's something that I do, and I know that up on Groveland Street, I'd like to see if we can make some improvements to that. Make the material, whether it's turning it over more, maybe investing a little bit more to make that, make the composting, more valuable, or as far as resources. The whole thing with composting, I don't want to get too far in the details with it, but when you have those winnow piles, when you turn it over, it's to get the heat up, and then that kills the weed seeds in the compost, what makes it good for gardening material. So, if you turn it over more and you kind of maintain it more, it actually is better material.
Do you think there's enough awareness about the town's composting program?
Probably not. I think people just feel it's more like dumping their leaves than anything else. Right. And I think there is a method to it as far as how you do it and manage it to and I do think maybe it's I know it's a challenge, because I know they do volunteers and things of that nature as far as keeping it open more often and things of that nature. But I would look to try to see if we could get it open as much, even more than we currently do. I think would be important and helpful to the town. I mean, as homes have been built up, and Abington has been built up over the years. There's not as many homes that have, the space in their yard to kind of put their leaves and things of that nature. So I think it's important to keep that access to the public as much as possible.
Okay. Do you feel that the town has enough resources? Do you feel that the health department has enough resources to endure a second or third year of COVID?
Well, I do know that. I think that's the hypothetical question, which makes it a little bit more difficult to answer. And I think that would be something that I would have to, work with the staff to determine what the resources that we need. As far as, you don't know if there is a next wave, what that next wave would entail and things of that nature. So I would have to, whatever comes across our table at that point in time, you would have to do the analysis and then see what the resource that you do have and what you do need. As we all know, the last year has been challenging, but also changing, by the day. And whether it's, what restaurants can do now or they can't do and things of that nature. But I think the most important thing is, communication. One, communicating with the health director to see what he needs, and then being supportive, but then communicating that up through the selectmen and the rest of the town as well, to ensure that they get the necessary resources to do the job that they need to do.
I think one thing I would ask you, as a lifelong resident of Abington, is somebody who's paid attention over the years as to how this town has either come together, and depending on being led by its town officials. As of today, how do you feel the town and the officials, especially the health department, effectively communicates amongst each other and with the residents?
I do think it's interesting, because I think it's changed so much over the last decade with social media and things of that nature that are out there now, and different platforms that you can communicate with, and people, emails and things of that nature, as people, that's how people communicate now. So I do think that there is a lot more information. I think people do generally a pretty good job overall of communicating the information that's out there. It's, I guess it's whether you care or not, I think, is probably the biggest thing, and whether you feel that it's enough information or you're not getting it. But I do think, I think it's interesting, but I do think, when we get into a situation with COVID, and I think the town has done a very good job, just from my own experience with my mom, is that, they've, communicating with that, the elderly and things of that nature, because how government and how we've all moved to communicating, there's certain segments of the population that will not, probably do not use those types of communication devices to get the information. So it's always important to remember that there's certain groups that probably, as much as you're probably getting 80% of the people and communicating with 80% of the people, that there is that 20%, and you need to work to make sure that you are reaching the whole population.
As our conversation winds down here, this is the opportunity where I ask you, is there anything that we haven't touched upon, or an item we haven't touched upon, that maybe you might want to discuss real quick, or maybe reemphasize something we discussed prior in our conversation?
No, again, Kevin, I'd like to say my thank you to both you and Matt for being here today and giving me the opportunity to speak to the citizens of Abington. I've been involved since like the early 80s that I first started doing the FinCom. And so it's been a long journey, but I look forward to kind of serving the town in this capacity. I have I think the experience and at several different levels of government, and look forward to serving the town in any capacity that I can.
Is there a way if folks want to reach out to you or want to get in touch with you, just to chat with you about your campaign?
Yeah, anybody wants to call me, they can, or they can contact me. My email address is kevinwhalen79@gmail.com, and you can contact me through the email, and I'll be more than glad to sit down and talk with anybody as far as anything going on in Abington, but also directly related to the Board of Health.
Bit of a way to kind of close out our conversation. But also let you show off your pride of Abington. Favorite restaurant or restaurants or spot to visit in town? Spot like maybe the Island Grove?
Well, it's funny. Having served on the with DCR, I did. It's someplace that I grew up in, like up by the Weymouth line. So I really didn't go over to Ames Knoll all that much as a kid or as an adult. But I went over there quite a bit as I was working at DCR, and Ames Knoll is beautiful, in Island Grove as well as someplace that I walk through frequently. As far as favorite restaurant, probably the Depot would be my go-to. Although there's several others like the Ale House as well that do a great job as well. So haven't been around. I don't want to offend any of my friends in those businesses, but obviously we're blessed to have Griffin's Dairy, which is a place now that has walking trails and things of that nature. And I think that's something that you look at that a connection, and there's walking trails over at Ames Knoll as well that you talk about the well-being of Abington residents and healthier lifestyles and things of that nature that we can work on improving some of the the infrastructure here for walking and things of that nature. But we're very blessed to have Griffin's Dairy kind of as a new addition to to be able to go walk in the trails and things of that nature, but also several of the other places like Island Grove and Ames Knoll.
Kevin, I want to thank you so much for coming in and sitting down, telling kind of talking a little bit about your campaign for office, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate
as we
your
wish
time.
All the candidates.
Exactly.
And we want to remind you at home, if you are tuning into this, remember, I believe it's April 24th. That's the day to head out and cast your ballot. It has been moved to the Beaver Brook. But if you're not sure of this information, if you need to find out more information about voting, whether you are registered, contact the town clerk's office. Easy way to do it. They're very friendly. They'll help you and they'll guide you through the process. But remember, get out, vote, and thank you so much for tuning into a program like Community Chat. Until next time, have a great day.